What's going on, everybody? I hope everyone's doing fantastic today. It's been a little bit since I've been live, but I am here with a very special guest today, a regular on the channel. I am here with RHMax, and we're going to be discussing some pretty interesting topics today. RHMax, how you doing today? How's everything?
We're doing it live, Corey. We're doing it live. Shout out to Bill Riley.
Fuck it, we're doing it live.
That's what you made me think of when you were saying that. How's it going, man? Doing good here. Doing good here. Glad we could get together on this lovely Sunday. Pretty hot outside here. I'm about where your neck of the woods though.
It's hot as balls, brother. By the way, can you hear my AC? If not, just let me know.
It sounded like white noise, but now that you've identified it, it sounds like AC. But I'm going to continue.
I will turn off the AC. Give me 1 second, so it's not that annoying. Give me a second.
I didn't notice it until you said it, but no, it's
well, just to be sure.
Yeah.
All right. Now we're flicking some nipples. All right. So
again, man. Yeah, I was telling Corey that wanted to talk about some PulseChain Ethereum dev stuff, and that's something I've been working on a lot lately. And I wanted to talk about it during a show. So yeah, man, what do you know about Ethereum dev? What do you know about PulseChain dev?
Not a single damn clue. I'm not a dev. I'm just a dude. All I really know is that Ethereum and PulseChain. A lot of the different. I'm just gonna be honest with you. I don't know anything. So.
No, that's I'm gonna say that's why I'm here, Corey. I'm here to.
Glad to hear that.
You're gonna steer the ship, and we're gonna go through how can people begin to learn what it takes, the difference between the two. Like some of the coolest things about developing on PulseChain, for example, is it's so cheap.
Mm-hmm.
On Ethereum, you need to do testnet deployments and all that, but on PulseChain, you can. I mean, there's different tools that can help you. I'll talk about too to do kind of like testnet stuff too. But really, PulseChain is so cheap. It's a huge benefit to builders to dev on, because you can just deploy stuff. You can do transactions. You can literally make applications work that you just couldn't do or couldn't test very properly on other chains. So like that's a big advantage we have right now that doesn't look that much on the surface level. Yeah, everyone's like, oh, price, all this stuff. For builders, man, I can tell you I've been enjoying it so far.
Yeah, man. So from your experience, tell me tell me the differences between developing, let's say, on ETH as opposed to PulseChain. Like, what makes it so attractive for PulseChain rather than ETH, and what are some similarities and differences between the two?
Well, that's the cool part. There's not a big difference other than everything's pretty much better on PulseChain. They're both EVM chains, so a lot of the same tools work. We see all the fork products on PulseChain that have, of course they require modifications and stuff like that too, and some a little bit new code or adjustments. But for the most part, a lot of the products that work there can work here. A lot of the same processes you would go through, a lot of the same tooling. I'll get into some of the dev tools and stuff too. But yeah, you basically just switch networks. Hey, I'm going to use network 369. That's PulseChain's network ID versus Ethereum, and a lot of stuff just works. It's pretty amazing. It's like a very underrated point to attract builders over, because if you build on Ethereum, you could totally build on PulseChain, and you might even like it more.
Absolutely, and I feel like a lot of the devs on PulseChain, I would assume, since Ethereum and PulseChain are, I guess you could say, sisters in a lot of ways, or brothers, whatever you want to call it. There's a lot of devs that have experience from Ethereum that moved over to PulseChain because it's cheaper and it's more user friendly, I'm assuming.
Well, it's just that you can. I mean, I think the cheaper, faster. Probably you don't know the fastest as much, I guess, as a dev, or I haven't yet. But I mean, getting into it, going from just doing validator stuff to building some like web apps and stuff, go real DeFi, and then I got the PulseChain faucet. Starting to get into it more with actually the contract side and smart contracts and tokens, just kind of like testing and just learning right now. But it's really powerful. That's one of the biggest things, like with people who are wondering how to get into it or what they need to do. I'll share my screen in a minute and we'll get into a bunch of the different tools, kind of introduce you to some of the concepts. But it is really one of those things that opened my eyes a lot too. Just the ability to participate in a decentralized network, like permissionless innovation, like all those words and phrases that we've heard a million times, they really mean a lot more once you get into if you get into the code and start actually deploying on the network and see your thing work. Oh my gosh, staking's working. Oh my gosh, I'm accumulating yield. Like I did that, like that kind of thing. It's pretty amazing. And you really don't have to kind of rely on other people to do a lot of stuff for you once you get into it. I think it's really cool. It's fascinating, especially if you have no dev experience. I mean, there's a little bit more of a learning curve, but if you have a little bit already in some other domain or discipline, then yeah, it's kind of like, hey, with AI, man, I'll talk about that too. It is just really, really sped things up and just made it so much more, 10x engineering type of thing. It's amazing. So it's never been a better time to become a blockchain dev. I'll say that.
It's funny you bring that up because I'm actually curious because I know that with the advent of AI, so I know I use AI now. Like you said something a couple months back that like to paraphrase, maybe you can just maybe remember the quote, but you said something about how important ChatGPT really is, like how it may be like one of the most important technological advances of this century. And at first, I didn't really realize it, but now I'm starting to use AI so much that it's to a point where it's like, wow, I barely even use Google search anymore. I just use ChatGPT, at least I'd say a good 60-70% of the time, because you can ask such specific questions to ChatGPT that if you look it up on Google search engine, you really get no results.
Yeah, and I'll give you one even better than. Let me share my screen. I'll show you Perplexity. I don't know if we talked about Perplexity last time, but even I
No,
use it. I basically replace Google in a lot of ways with Perplexity, or I have been for a while now. But I'll show you a little bit about it too. You might even like it better.
definitely. Let me get there. Okay, do your
Yeah.
thing.
So Perplexity.ai. That we'll just stop there real quick too, because that is something that like I know people who've literally replaced like their default search engine with Perplexity, just because it's just this nice clean interface
Mhm.
that kind of looks like, in a way it looks like Google, kind of looks like ChatGPT. It's kind of a mix. So I mean, you type it in, it's kind of like it's got the best of it. Uses ChatGPT's engines and stuff, or it can. There's a bunch of different configurations, but it'll also search the web and give you stuff. So you say, before it'd be like, oh, ChatGPT, like when did, tell me about PulseChain. Like, it used to say, oh, my data cut off before 2000 or 2021 or all
Mhm.
this stuff. It can't really give you up-to-date stuff. Now I can ask it like, hey, tell me about PulseChain.
Absolutely, no, that's incredible. I
And
just love how, yeah.
and there you go. And it'll give you references, it'll give you links, it'll tell you like more, accurate information, because not only is it using the models, or using a model, it's using the web to like kind of like give you the best answer too. So I would say like on my phone, I think I like using ChatGPT because you can take pictures and ask it like
Mhm.
what stuff is or tell me about this thing. It's really good. But if I'm like going to Google about something, I'm probably going to use GPT of some sort, and probably Perplexity. Like that's been my go-to for the last while stuff. Perplexity. There's also Claw.ai. I like a lot. We'll start with AI real quick. ChatGPT, everyone knows about that at this point.
Mhm.
But Claw.ai is really good. So Perplexity, it's all these are limited in certain way unless you pay for them, but a lot of them still work good enough. But the new model that I've been using for coding and stuff too, Claude 3.5 is a game changer. It has like made me start using Claude even more than ChatGPT right now for coding assistance and help and stuff like that. So game changing AI. I have an old course. If you go to Go Roll DeFi, actually changed it. Let me hate to go Roll DeFi real quick, but yeah, navigation. It used to say learn to earn, but I recently just made it navigation. And if you go to the AI, the first one, it'll give you a playlist where you can learn. And I did 3 months ago now, I did a whole like training course,
Amazing.
went through how to do thumbnails, how to do coding, how to learn all this stuff from scratch. So check that out if anyone's interested. But yeah, it's been a game changer, man. I went from like, yeah, I've been coding for a long time. I never called myself a dev, but I've been coding for a long time. And it's really, I heard some CEO, I mean, it's kind of like the AI way of saying things these days is the programming language of the future is English. Like it is literally like, I feel like I'm a designer at this point. I don't even like, I manually code a very small percentage more than I just design something. Like I know how to ask good questions. I know how to like tell it exactly what I need, and then it gives me the code. I modify it as I need to, or ask it to modify it, and just go from there. But you could even use it even for this kind of blockchain dev stuff.
Mhm.
You could even tell it like, teach me, if you got a ChatGPT subscription, teach me from Scratch how to deploy a token on PulseChain. You can say token, you can say contract, you can say like whatever. And it'll literally, if you tell that, it'll just give you step by step, like how to set up a wallet, how to set up, it's giving like PulseChain testnet stuff. You'll have to like tell it, no, give me mainnet info and all that. Cause this is ChatGPT, maybe Claude will do a little bit better. But it'll tell you, if you want to try Remix, which I won't talk about today, but Remix is a way, IDE online that can use to do a lot of this stuff. But it'll give you the basics, like, here's the Solidity contract, like, and then you can even ask it like, well, how does it work? Explain it line by line. And just, give it a simple, super simple ERC20 with initial supply token. Actually, I don't think it's setting initial supply there. Let's see. Specified initial supply. Does it have 1,000 in there? Why am I not seeing it? Yeah. I mean, you could tell it, say, set supply to 1 million and explain the code. You can misspell stuff, it'll tell you anyways.
That's incredible. That's why I love AI. Like, AI is like so ahead of its time. Like, I showed my parents AI, and it's like they're bamboozled by it. I was bamboozled by it because 5-6 years ago, when you asked a specific question on Google, when I say specific, I mean like a specific question that an article probably wasn't written about. It'd be very difficult. You'd have to dig deep into certain things to figure out things. Now on ChatGPT, you can literally create everything from lesson plans to learning about coding to learning about the layers of blockchain in the matter of a few hours, if that. And I find this to be amazing because it allows for people to become devs a lot more efficiently, I feel like, and a lot more swiftly, as opposed to having to go through consistent courses and consistent, like going on maybe Udemy and having to pay like hundreds of dollars where they can just go on ChatGPT.
Yeah, it's one of those things, I come from a background in tech and coding development and stuff. So a lot of it's pretty easy for me to pick up. I mean, there's like, basically I just got to learn the blockchain side of it. And that's what I've been doing for the last few weeks or so. It's like, okay, like I know how to code, I know how to do this stuff. How do I like these blockchain concepts? Like, what does it mean for deployments? Like how do these things work? What kind of frameworks do I need to make these things work? Mm-hmm. That's been the biggest adjustment. But if you're learning from scratch, literally, like you can get GPT to teach you, you can get it to write code for you. And then you can just like, if you want to pick up a book or something along with it too, but it's one of those things where it's just so powerful. I cannot describe like how just as you put it too, like it is, you're able to just do things much faster. Again, like I encourage people to actually like learn what all these stuff means, what Boolean values are, what integers are, how all this stuff works. Because you're gonna, at a certain point, you're gonna need to rely on some foundational knowledge, or otherwise, because you get stuck. It's not gonna do everything for you. It can't solve every bug or develop every kind of program. You still need to know like what you're doing to a certain extent, but it makes it so much seamless. Like once you get the hang of it, to just be like, yeah, just like help me do this thing that would have taken me days or so to figure out before. Now I can just figure it out in a few hours because I got this super assistant right beside me.
Absolutely. And I guess even though we have AI, are there specific tools that are needed to build on, let's say, Ethereum or PulseChain that AI wouldn't be able to assist with, for example, or even if it did, but you still need to buy something or learn something that's outside of the realm of what the AI could do?
Yeah, so when you're first getting started, one of the biggest things is just getting a code editor, a place that'll help you write the code. It has different plugins to make it easier or give you suggestions, or especially with AI, it's being integrated in that these days, a lot of different ways. But a place to write the code and a place to run the code is two universal things. So I like Visual Studio Code. It's been the best IDE for a very long time, as in a few years. It kind of came out from nowhere. And it became like the gold standard for just being super easy to use and all that. So anyone getting started coding, definitely recommend Visual Studio Code. It's about the only Microsoft product I would say. Like there's not a lot of, I don't use Windows a lot or anything these days. So, or any Microsoft products really. Visual Studio Code, they nailed that one. So hopefully they don't mess it up and keep it going well. So that's the first thing. It works. You get on Mac, you can get on Linux, you can get on Windows, of course, as well, many different platforms. But once you have that, and then you need a place to run it. So you can run code if you're running Windows. You can run code on there. There's different plugins. You can watch tutorials and stuff on that. Or you can set up a cloud server. For example, when I talk about validators, I talk about AWS, different cloud services that can basically give you a server, different VPS. People like to say VPS a lot too these days. Just a server somewhere in the cloud that you can connect to, you can code on, and it runs Linux more than likely. So you can just run the code there, but you can do it from your Windows desktop or your Mac or whatever it is. So it just makes it easier. And if your computer fails, all the data is stored in the cloud, so you can get access to it. So it's kind of like some different advantages with that too. But yeah, once you have a code editor, once you have a place to run the code, from there, it's really, you really can just start learning, Solidity, for example, for smart contracts. And then JavaScript in general can give you a framework for how this stuff works. Because yeah, there's different languages that help in different ways. I know Python, that's been like one of my favorite languages for a while to use scripts and do Web3 stuff as well. But just if you're doing blockchain dev stuff, JavaScript, Solidity, React, like learning different frameworks, learning different UIs of how to do stuff. That's something even this GPT can help you with too. For example, be like, make me, let's do this. Add a mint, add a burn function to the token and write a simple React UI interface for users to interact with the contract. So from there, if you can do all this stuff with scripts on the command line once you start writing it. But also, if you want a UI, that's why when you go to, the different like all your favorite places, PulseX, you go to, and if you're into GIF, you go to GIF, the permagif.win, you go to iBurn, all that stuff, or you go to, shout out to GIF, by the way. He's a guy, gave me some motivation in the last little bit to kind of like get doing some more code stuff as well. I've been working more closely with the Permabull guys and all that stuff lately as well. But if any dApp you go to, anything you connect your wallet to go mint or build or stake or the Hex app or anything else, they're going to be running code that's a front end, right? Like the front end, the UI, and they're going to be talking to the contract or talking to the network in some way, RPCs, all that stuff. And yeah, if you want users to use a contract other than going to Etherscan and clicking like read, write, contract, all that stuff too, then you can get AI to help you write an app. And it'd be cool if it actually ran it for me or show me what the preview looks like for it. But I don't think GPE can do it for here. But essentially, yeah, it'll let you, here's like amount to burn, all that stuff. And you can burn the tokens. You can write staking interfaces from here if you have staking functions, all that stuff too. Really, really cool. But that would be, the UI is another part. I'll talk about Hardhat real quick. And again, these are Ethereum tools that we can use for PulseChain, right? Like if you go to Hardhat, this is where this is kind of like your test framework. They give you the ability you can even launch your own like virtual blockchain thing to test it on. You don't need to do like Ethereum testnet, which is like a real thing with validator stuff running. They have like this virtual environment where you can deploy tokens and test things and all this stuff too. Really, really cool. Very, very innovative. Mm-hmm. But again, these are all marketed as Ethereum tools, but since PulseChain is a fork of Ethereum, EVM compatible chains like this, we could take advantage of it too. I literally didn't need to change. I started using Hardhat to write tests and deployments and stuff like that for deploying contracts and tokens and stuff on PulseChain. I didn't need to change. Like I didn't need to tell it, hey, make this for PulseChain. Like, in the code and stuff, I would specify PulseChain. But these are Ethereum tools and you can use them for PulseChain. And it makes it, just makes it really easy. And Hardhat is one of the tools. again, I kind of want to give everyone like at a high level some of the different pieces that to learn and get started if you're going into blockchain dev. Hardhat, you can do yarn scripts. Let's see if yarn has a website. Yeah, they're kind of just this. They're just give you the ability to work. You can work with Hardhat. You can run yarn scripts in Hardhat and just make things easier and all that stuff. Just giving you an idea of some of the different pieces involved there. But yeah, it's really combining AI, combining Ethereum tools. GitHub is another one. Signing up for there, learning how to deploy code, building a Vercel app. Vercel is like a way to deploy and get continuous like builds of different apps and stuff that you can use for blockchain or otherwise, which is what the PulseChain faucet is built off of as well. So a lot of these, just getting familiar with how to commit code, how to work in a code repo, how to download it, how to write to it, all that stuff too. And again, combining that with AI. Again, if you want to check out the tutorials and stuff on AI and crypto and all that stuff, I have them here from Go Road DeFi, as I mentioned before. But all this just makes dev so much easier to do for beginners and also for, again, people experiencing coding. Just to be like, okay, I've coded in all these other languages before. I know the tech stack, I know this stuff, but just like, how do I do this in the blockchain? How do I learn these blockchain concepts? Like even literally with AI, just be like, explain this to me. Like if you don't understand something, like explain, how minting works for this token. And it'll literally like tell you, give you an explanation, how it works. You can ask it more in depth. What does that mean on the blockchain? What do the transactions look like, to really get you up to speed to be able to dev much easier on either chain, either Ethereum and PulseChain.
That's amazing. No, and I appreciate this very, very concise tutorial on how to really develop on PulseChain and how to utilize modern tools as a means to grow the chain. I think it's very, very valuable to create different avenues of, I guess you could call them ideas, surrounding how to have people interact with a chain without it just being, whether it be streaming or tweeting, but to have people aware, if they choose to build something, that it's not as complex as they may have thought it was. They can actually build something on PulseChain in a relatively efficient way, in a seamless and I guess you could say almost easy matter if they just put a little bit of time in. So, I appreciate that.
Yeah, man, it's about, I really think that, there's all kinds of different ways we can try to onboard people on the PulseChain. I think the angle that it's been, I want to say overlooked, but we haven't been pushing, at least publicly, I haven't seen a lot of push for, how do we attract builders here?
Exactly.
Other than being friendly, how do we, there's people here that if you build a good product, like there's a community here, like that, may be skeptical of it. They may not want to get rug pulled, all those understandable stuff. But at the same time, there's people here that are just, again, memes have their time. All these other things have their time. I'm a tech guy. It's natural for me to get into dev. It's natural for me to enjoy building and do all the stuff I did before in other domains. But now on the blockchain side, I just think it's one of those opportunities we have to show builders out there, hey, how many Ethereum devs are out there? There's got to be like hundreds, thousands of Ethereum devs. Mm-hmm. How do we show them like, hey, there's a green pasture over here called PulseChain. There's a faster, cheaper network over here. All those skills that you developed on Ethereum, they all work here too. Why not come build on PulseChain? The community, you want a community? We got a lot of communities. We got a community. We got a PulseChain community. We have all the sub communities. We have people here that, like for people to come here and build good stuff for them to invest, help their money grow. And that's what everyone's here to do, right? We're here to help PulseChain see good products succeed, make money, like all these different things. It really can align people together to be like, okay, that's like, why not come here? Why not come here to build? Like, why? And you start attracting one dev. I imagine a lot of the devs, they aren't just like solo people where they don't know anybody else. They know other people. Hey, dude, I just started building on PulseChain. Like, why don't you come over? Super easy. It's the same thing as Ethereum, except it's like, we have all these other things we can easily do now. Like, why not come here and build and grow the community? And if you're trying to attract people to PulseChain, and what the type of people you want to attract, don't you want to attract the builders? Like, do you want to attract the Jeters? Do you want to attract the gamblers? Do you want to attract the builders? Like, if I have to prioritize who I want to attract to this chain and type of personalities and the type of, acumen and the type of quality people, I think builders are in the top quality, or the top
Yes.
the top list of people to attract, because not only may they come here with their capital, then they come here and start building new products that'll help build the chain out for other people who come here just to speculate or to invest or otherwise. So I think it's just an underrated piece of onboarding, as well as something that with AI, honestly, anyone can get into. Anyway, it may take you longer. It may take you, instead of, if you already code, instead of taking you weeks or months to do blockchain dev, if you don't already code, it may take you, months or even years. But it's like there's this, you have the ability to do it. There's no lack of, I always say there's no lack of information here for PulseChain and stuff. There's no lack of like resources or tools now to become a dev in whatever tech you want to.
Absolutely. No, and I always appreciate you coming on the channel and giving us tutorials about your expertise surrounding coding and really building on a chain. I think you're right that we need to really look at, instead of trying to appeal to an already existing audience, we need to really appeal to people who have the capabilities to build things on a chain that haven't been built yet, that could attract people from other chains to this chain and create a higher sense of longevity because of the dApps being built on it from efficient developers. So guys, if you haven't yet, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Consider donating to the channel for super chats. They really help the channel grow. And also, in the description of the video, I always, when I have RHMax on, I have his YouTube and YouTube and Twitter handles as well in the descriptions. So guys, make sure to follow him if you're curious. He makes loads of free content, over like 1,000 videos now. So, RHMax, I look forward to coming on your channel this month. And thank you so much for the time, brother.
Of course, man. Always a good one. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Give me 1 second.